Hello everyone, Matt Blake here with Cressy Performance. Today we're going to be talking about a key variable we like to identify when analyzing a pitcher's delivery, that being the stride foot positioning upon landing. Now there's two main things we're looking to identify here. One being the foot orientation at strike, and the second being the orientation of the stride direction itself. Now we like to break both these variables up into three different categories: open, neutral, and closed, with the open side being represented by this line on the heel side, the closed side being represented by this line on the toe side, and anything in the middle being of neutral orientation. Now, each of these positions will be important to identify because they're going to be indicative of some issues we might see further up the chain as the pitcher continues through his delivery into release and subsequently deceleration. Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd want to identify all of our athletes as being in neutral orientation for optimal alignment at the ankle, knee, and hip. And this would be important because it allows us to stabilize the delivery efficiently and center our rotation so we can avoid hitting some end range positions, which could lead to erratic triggers for release. The issue with this obviously becomes that everyone has a slightly different level of mobility and stability, which is going to dictate where a player best finds tension to create power in the throw. And if a player is having a hard time repeating his landing position and it's leading to erratic command, we'd want to identify if it's because of a mobility or stability issue, or if it's simply an awareness issue and the player just needs to place more importance on identifying his landing position. In order to demonstrate this, we're going to use one of our more advanced athletes, Tim Collins of the Kansas City Royals, to show how his delivery's changed over the years as the demands for increased repeatability have risen. Now obviously in both these videos, this athlete was able to perform at a high level with a powerful delivery, but in the video taken on the left, which is 2009 after Tim's first stint in Double-A, some of these variables were on the extreme side, prioritizing power and deception, but not necessarily alignment and repeatability. So as we track through this first throw, you can see that even though his stride direction is neutral and on line, the foot orientation itself is slightly closed, limiting some of the range of motion at the ankle, which is where some of those instances of early lockout are going to happen and create some erratic release points. If we look at how this throw unfolds, you'll see that that leg is relatively stiff, although it is a very stable position for Tim, which is why he's able to create so much power in the throw. Now, obviously, there's an aggressive stride phase which is leading to this, but as far as getting into that position, we're very stable, just a little stiff. Now in the more recent video, which was taken in 2013 after Tim's second full season in the big leagues, one of the things you'll notice is his alignment is much improved. As we track through this throw, although he slants in a slightly more closed orientation from a stride direction standpoint, the line and the neutrality of his foot positioning is much better, allowing better range of motion at the ankle, which allows him to more effectively track back up into the hip and create a more efficient stabilization pattern here. By creating that more centrated pivot point on that front hip, we're going to have a much cleaner rotation, which is going to be able to track the throw much more effectively and be on time more consistently. So as we let this throw unfold a little bit, you'll see how that leg is much straighter and a little bit more aligned to his target, which really starts with his first position, which is the alignment at his starting position. Now if you look at the difference between this first video and this video, you'll see that the alignment really begins from the setup. Now that was a position that the Royals really made the adjustment with him on, and he was able to work at effectively in the off season to refine. To give you an idea why something like this might play out, you have to understand Tim's 4 seasons in the minor leagues, he had a strikeout per 9 innings ratio of 13.3, a strikeout to walk ratio of 3.4, and a whip of 1.06. So he was a very dominant pitcher in the minor leagues, but the issue was as he progressed up the levels, if his ability to command the baseball was going to be good enough at the major league level. And what you'll see is in 2011, his first year in the big leagues, his innings were 67, his walks were 48, and his strikeouts were 60. So you'll look at a strikeout per 9 ratio of about 8.1, a strikeout to walk ratio of 1.25, and a whip of 1.49. So all of his numbers from minor leagues obviously went down, but there's a lot of different ways you can explain that, whether it be a higher level, better hitters, smaller strike zone, just an aberration in his delivery. But I think the real consideration is his ability to change and orient himself more on line is going to give him a more consistent feel for the strike zone, which with that adjustment that you're seeing on the right allowed him to produce numbers in 2012 that were in 69 innings, 34 walks, which is down from 48, 93 strikeouts, which is up from 60, and in turn gives him a strikeout per 9 of 12.0, a strikeout to walk ratio of 2.74, and a whip of 1.25. Now obviously there's a lot of different ways to explain this, but one of the things that we like to look at is really the ability to stay on line towards a target and have consistent release points. Now obviously if we're hitting end ranges and creating early triggers, there are going to be issues with being on time to the plate. So in order to allow the body to do less work and stabilize on the target line, we're going to be able to bring the balance of these variables much more in line with consistent high-level performance in the strike zone. Now that being said, each pitcher is going to come in with his own unique set of circumstances and his own history of injury and his own performance capabilities. So there are plenty of pitchers who succeed outside of this neutral alignment, and it's important to take all these things into consideration before suggesting alterations to any pitcher's delivery. In the future videos, we'll dig deeper into what might be indicated in each position and what might be entailed in fixing a pitcher's landing and how it unfolds further in the throw. In the meantime, start identifying where your athletes are landing and see if you notice some inconsistency that might be leading to erratic performance.